So I just finished playing the original Silent Hill 2, and I am more than pleasantly surprised to announce it is one of the better games I have ever played. Now, before you get on me for, oh, this is nostalgia kicking in, my first ever introduction to this series and this game was the Silent Hill 2 remake. Anything else before that had gone over my head, somehow I had missed it, but when the remake came out, I bought it with no expectations, no real idea what it was, and then it actually blew me away with the story and how everything went down. So before diving into this game, I was definitely expecting some things to be very clunky. Shoot, James! Damn. For the game to be very unforgiving, as some of these older games are, but honestly, the entire thing was a blast. Oh! I didn't know you could actually shoot her, holy shit. Oh, where was my last save? No, not like this. That's so crazy. No. And I would say there is definitely some ways that this Silent Hill 2 original outdid its remake. Oh! One of the ways I felt that the original outdid the remake was in setting up stress and suspense. With the older hardware, players have poor movement and the camera ability is a lot clunkier, but they're really able to play into this more, which led to, I think, a more focused horror experience. The new camera and graphics in the remake are fantastic. Like, the final boss of the original was an absolute drag because of the clunky movement, and then that's all fixed in the remake to where these fights are a lot smoother. But when you have more control over the character, it really lessens the intensity because you're not in as much danger. For example, a lot of the stress of combat, especially in the abstract daddy fight for me, was negated in the remake by the ability to dodge. However, with the clunky controls and super confined space of the original, the fight was horrifying. I was getting grabbed all the time, I was wasting almost every health equipment I had, I was fighting for my life in this room. Oh, James, you have to reload at a time like this? We're clearly in the fight of our lives, James! While in the remake, you could simply just dodge all of his grab attacks and then shoot him a couple times, and it really wasn't that hard, the actual fight. Also, any case with Pyramid Head was way more intense in the original. Huh? There's Pyramid Head! I felt the remakes actually announced him too often or too explicitly, where there was like a cutscene or something explicitly, some noise that made sure I knew he was in the area, which makes you expect him at some point. So then when he does show up, I'm not really surprised about it. Sure, the build-up is nice and it gets you a little bit on edge, but then he shows up and you're like, oh, there he is, instead of like, what is this guy doing here? It's like a different type of scared. The OG just had this guy appearing out of nowhere. Is that Pyramid Head? Oh! Oh, James, run! Oh, Christ! I ran up on the goat himself! The best instance of this is the Pyramid Head chase scene. There's no crashing sound, there's no cutscene. You just round the corner and suddenly Pyramid Head is right behind you. Oh! Run! And with the fixed camera orientation, you can see how close Pyramid Head is behind you, how fast he's chasing you, and it just spikes your heart rate to the roof. In the remake, though, for this scene, they have a cutscene that announces he's there. It's a very slow walk up, and then as you run away, because of the character camera always looking where James is looking kind of forward, you barely see Pyramid Head chasing you, which in my opinion was just not as effective for this scene. Having that fixed camera look behind James at this Pyramid Head guy running at you and Maria, it really builds tension and suspense and that feeling of having to get away. The OG really used the poorer equipment and camera use to actually build stress and tension by leaving so much out of the characters and the player's ability to see things, which leads right into the second thing I'd like to talk about, which is enemy placement. The thing I love about the original was the purposeful enemy placement. So obviously the original hardware couldn't handle much more than what they put into the game. They can't just have a million characters running around with enemies and stuff, but with key placements, though, they're able to make these enemies count, and they were able to pace the scares better and not really make it tedious. It's a new thing that makes it So with the new controls, as we talked about, and the ability to dodge, they couldn't really scare in the same way in the remake. It seemed like in order to compensate for this, they went a sort of RE Resident Evil 2 remake route, where you just kind of make a lot of roaming enemies to drain resources. While it is still terrifying at the start, the enemies get kind of old as they pop up in every room. They're jammed into almost every corner. Every area has a ton of enemies. So seeing them for the 100th time in the final hotel is more annoying than it is scary. On the other hand, in the original, I was terrified when the camera would snap to the other side of the room and I would see 2 mannequins in the hotel storeroom. Oh! They're so freaky, dude. Since I hadn't seen an enemy in so long, it was very surprising to see, and suddenly the scare is back on. Obviously, I understand that with the improved graphics and movement and control, there has to be a new way to scare, but I don't think this is necessarily scary as much as it is extra padding. There was far too many enemies in the remake, and after a while, it got old. But by keeping the encounters more focused and centralized, enemies in the original felt more terrifying to encounter. And finally, just as the enemies were sort of packed into the remake, there was a lot of extra stuff that was packed into the remake as well in terms of the areas that you could explore. I don't think any area really overstayed its welcome in the original, which made for a lot more satisfying sense of progression. Sure, I'd get lost or stumped by a puzzle for a while, but once I figured it out, it was kind of time to move on to the next section.
Let's get the view. Oh! I got the what key? Oh, I'm gonna solve it once? Oh my god, I did it.
But in the remake, a lot of these areas I felt dragged on. Sure, I like that the areas in the Silent Hill town, like the motel and the burger spot, that weren't accessible in the original, were now explorable with collectibles and secrets to find in the remake. Yet, when the main areas of the game were overly detailed and convoluted, it led to an exhausting experience where there was almost too much to do. There were times in the prison and the hotel where there were extra steps added for seemingly no reason. Whether it was a puzzle to solve or an extra boss, it was just a bit too much. The more streamlined areas of the original kept the pacing and positive feedback cycle on track and made for a much more satisfying playthrough.
It's too dark to read the map? No.
So those are some of the things that I wanted to talk about after playing the original in comparison to the remake. They're both fantastic games and they keep the story pretty well preserved. I thought the remake did. I just think in terms of actual scares and fear and stuff like that, the original kind of has an edge on the remake, where the remake has more of a fleshed out Silent Hill, which I super enjoyed, but I wasn't so scared after a while in the remake, I guess is the point. So they're both fantastic and both have their strong suits. I just loved playing them both and I wanted to talk about it. So if you guys have any opinions on how these two games came out, how they sort of go into the areas, how they work with scares, camera use, puzzles, stuff like that, please let me know. I'd love to talk more about this. If there's something I missed too that changed, obviously I've only played the original once, so I probably didn't get everything in there, and I've only played Remake twice, so I probably also didn't get everything found there. So I could be missing some things along the way. So if there's anything you would like to add, please let me know. I love experiencing this lore and this world, so I hope you enjoyed going through this with me as well, and some of my points made sense. And I will see you guys all in the next video. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Oh, I hate those ones. Is it worth the 4 bullets? Oh, there's more. Oh, shit.